Hello and welcome to Let's See It with myself, Kiva Murphy, and herself, Rebecca Tanwin. Today we are talking all about music. Musicality, songs, scores, everything musical.
Music.
That's what you were waiting for. I was like, she's going to come in. She's going to come in at some
She's going to
stage.
say something. Eventually.
Eventually. Eventuality.
Music.
Great. So, Rebecca Tanwin, how important or what part does music play in your life?
Well, music is a very important part of my life because it is kind of like a little soundtrack to my day, and I will use music to shift my mood sometimes. So, and also to calm me down, to hype me up, all those sort of things. And also I use it during work as well to help focus in. I also play musical instruments. Well,
You do?
so say that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can accept
I do.
that,
So,
I
yeah.
believe. Yeah, say it like I mean it.
Yes, I do play musical instruments,
There
or
you
some
go.
musical instruments. Not all of them. I play. I play the flute, which is I've played it for years. I used to be really good at it. I haven't played it for a while. I played it in an advert audition recently.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
I did not know you played the flute.
Did you not know?
I knew you played the ukulele. The
Yeah,
guitar.
ukulele, guitar. The ukulele and guitar are my weaker instruments. The flute actually is my stronger instrument because
Wow.
I've played it for longer. And yeah, because there's two forms of music, either receptive or active. So active is like playing, singing, doing all those sort of things, learning an instrument, creating and music yourself. And then receptive is obviously listening, going to gigs, like having music sort of in your life, that sort of thing. So there's the two. And they do feature quite highly in my life. And how about you, Kiva? How does music feature in your day-to-day life?
Pretty constant. I very rarely...
We don't want to hear those thoughts in our own head.
No, basically. I will always have the music on. There is an amazing French radio station called FIP, France Internationale Paris, and it is a French radio station, and they play music from all over the world, and they don't talk. It's very rare that they might go very, very little. Maybe once an hour they'll be like, okay, so that song was by this person and the next song is by this person. And then it's hours of music. And so I have a radio at home, with like an internet radio, and it's just basically always on. And so I can program Irish radio or English or BBC Radio 4 or whatever. There's different ones programmed into it. And I can listen to them through the radio.
Is it true that on French radio they have to play a certain quota of French music?
Oh.
Do you notice that? Is there a lot of French music on that channel?
Fair amount.
I've got a feeling there's some sort of like they have to, if it's a public radio station, they have to play something like 40 to 60% French songs.
No, not that high.
Not that high,
Not
okay.
that high. There'd be maybe 20 or 30, I'd say, would be
Oh,
French.
okay.
But what I love about it is it's also random. So anytime I'm listening to it, I often have Shazam kind of ready to like capture songs.
Nice.
Which I do in the movies, and I do that more and more, even in cafes. Like Shazam is an app, is such an amazingly good app. What? No, you make me feel such a granny. No.
There's this new app, guys. It's called Shazam.
Taking my cardigan off.
But you make a very good point about listening to new music, discovering new music, because it is actually, I did a tiny bit of research about music because I was thinking music must be good for you. I'm going to research this, and loads comes up. Obviously, music is incredibly therapeutic in many different ways. And one thing that's very good for the brain is listening to new music. So we tend to listen to the same music that we listened to in our teens and 20s, and we kind of stick with it. Whether that was what our parents were playing us or what we were listening to, and it's like a comfort zone. But listening to new music stimulates different like neuro pathways because your brain is continuously connecting like, oh, this is a bit like this and this is this song and here's the chorus and it's working the whole time. So it's a really powerful thing actually to listen to new music, and it can feel uncomfortable. You're like, ugh, this doesn't feel comfortable. This doesn't feel comfortable. My brain's working really hard to like understand this music, but it's a good thing to do. So listening to FEEP is a very good thing
Or the
to do.
Spotify like Discover Weekly.
Uh-huh.
So good.
This
This is a new app called Spotify.
Guys, I've just found it's amazing.
It's a really great app, and I don't know if you've heard of it. Their algorithm is worth bazillions. That algorithm that sends you either new music or like if you listen to this, you might like this. That algorithm they've made, people have tried to buy it off them for bazillions, and they're like, no.
Oh.
Yeah, Spotify, you're right. That's a great song.
I do like it.
I do like it. Correct.
That is a banger.
That is a banger.
But there is another place that I use music a lot, and that is in work. So I've mentioned before, I work for a deep work company called Flown, and we have a lot of people who have ADHD. So playlists and things like that are very important for actually focusing the mind in. And one is binaural beats. A lot of people listen to that, and I love listening to that. If I can't get into the zone,
And you really feel it helps? It gets you in focus mode?
Really does. I put on these, I'm wearing very big headphones at the moment, which are my recording headphones. They're super comfy. I'll put them on if I'm struggling to
They're
focus.
like over ear as well, so
Yeah,
they're
they're
not
over
bothering
ear.
you.
Exactly. And they're just something comfortable. It's like wearing two big earmuffs. And I'll put on either binaural beats or maybe brown noise, white noise, pink noise, something that just cuts out the sort of chatter from around, the noise, the soundscape that's naturally in my world. And it really, really helps me focus in if I'm struggling. I can't listen to lyric music, so music that has lyrics, if I'm doing something that requires a lot of focused attention. If I'm just putting data into a spreadsheet or I'm doing something that's fairly, I don't want to say mindless, but like needs less
Brain power.
Yeah, exactly. I will happily, sometimes I need something a bit more banging. Like I listen to like UK Garage Classics or something. Or like Ibiza Anthems from Ministry of Sound just to get me a bit like hyped and pumped.
Yeah.
A bit like I'm in the gym.
Yeah.
The gym, there we go. Another way where I use music and working out.
Yeah.
It can change your performance level.
Make you go faster, make you go stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's very powerful at affecting our minds, music.
And just go back to what's white noise, brown noise and pink noise. White noise, I know what it is. So it's this idea, like what people use often to help their babies go to sleep, and it's this shh kind of static.
White noise is the statics. It should be made up of all frequencies, basically. So, and it's evenly distributed across the frequencies. So white noise is like TV static, kind of fan noise, humming air conditioner, that sort of thing. And it is used for sound masking, for managing tinnitus, like people who have tinnitus will often do that, increasing concentration and improving sleep and relaxation, that sort of thing, and enhancing privacy. Because you can have like
this kind of bubble around you.
Yes, it can kind of distort. So if someone's listening in, you can kind of have a bit of white noise playing. It will distort kind of like what they can hear because it blurs all the frequencies together.
You know what that made me think of? I'm sorry. This is the way my brain works. So you did that, and I was imagining a huge tower block. And that anytime someone's having sex, they put on white noise that emanates from their house so that no one could hear them having sex inside their apartment. And then the other apartments are like, ooh, don't go to 4B.
Well, we can do some experiments. If anyone would like to experiment with this and let us know how it goes.
You just call us. Check us out.
How many complaints do you get from your neighbours with white noise and without white noise? And we need to be equally loud both times.
You could have one of those decibel readers in the corner and be like, 24. 61.
So yeah, white noise is equal frequencies across the whole kind of spectrum of frequencies. Pink noise is all frequencies that are audible to the human ear, but the energy is not equally distributed across it. So it's more intense in the lower frequencies, which makes it sound a bit deeper than white noise. So that's like
This is pink noise.
I don't just Google. People can Google. People have Google. There's this new thing. It's called Google.
It's this new app called Google.
So that's like pink noise, like rainfall, wind, rustling leaves, heartbeat, that sort of sound. And then brown noise, similar, but it has a higher energy and lower frequencies, so it's deeper. Brown noise is kind of like waterfalls, that really strong sound of that, or like rumbling of thunder. That's got a lot of brown noise in it, that sort of thing. So it's a low roaring sort of noise. And I've heard this is very good for sleeping, apparently. So I tried to sleep with brown noise the other night. And I had the worst nightmares ever. I don't know what the brown noise did to me, but it basically made my brain. Maybe I was just in deeper sleep. I was in more REM or something. I don't know. And I had a lot of very intense dreams. The only thing that changed was the brown noise. I might try the experiment again.
Yeah, try it again. We'll do.
I'll try that one. Someone else can try the sex one. You try the sex one, Kiva.
I'll
try the nightmarish
a white
round.
noise machine.
So yeah, those are them. They're very useful if you're stuck, unable to focus. Apparently those are some of the biggest playlists,
Yeah.
like white noise.
Well, it's the same as on YouTube. Some of the biggest things that are played are the YouTube videos of fireplaces.
Yeah,
Because people put it on their screen and they just have a crackling, like real-time log fire.
Yeah, so funny.
It's just so funny, but I mean, I think we're so desperate for the original being around the fire, being together, cooking sounds, crackling fires, the nature sounds, all these things that we're saying. Back in our ancestry, it just would have been normal. We would have been more connected with nature and not lived in, stone apartments where everything kind of reverberates and you're very isolated from what's actually going on there in the world. So then we're like, oh, I'll play bird sounds or I'll play the rain or the forest or whatever it might be so that I feel in touch with nature.
That's a very good point. How we've lost our natural soundscape.
Well,
the soundscape we
before-
would have lived with.
Yeah. Nowadays, if we open the window now, we have cars, which is unnatural. We have traffic and this kind of thing and a little bit of bird sound. But anytime anyone goes on holidays, they talk about, I heard the birds, I saw the stars.
This is people who live in cities.
Yes, people who
There
live in
will be
cities.
people who go like, I hear the birds all the time. And the trees rustling in my beautiful cottage in the countryside.
Well done then. They've made the right life choices.
Well done, you.
But I think that's why there's so much sound and music at us all the time. Even every time you open your phone and you open Instagram or YouTube, it instantly plays you an ad with music and with this, and TikTok, the same thing.
It's very manipulative. Like it can really affect your emotions, your feelings. I mean, there are playlists on Spotify that are like sad tunes for breakups.
Yeah.
For when you want to have a good old cry.
Yeah.
And there are many hilarious little memes and TikToks and videos. Have you heard of TikTok?
Oh, she's loving herself over there.
Oh my God,
She is
having
just
the
loving
time
this
of
bit.
my life.
You just keep repeating that little
Keep going,
thing.
keep going. So there's this one where it's just a joke video where, you've got your thing on shuffle and it's a sad song and you're in tears. And the next one's like Rihanna. And you suddenly are like your bad bitch self.
Yeah.
And it's because it can immediately flip and change your emotions.
I think it just gets into your soul so quickly. Like you're saying about comfortable music that you listened to as a kid or as a teen when you were kind of figuring out who you were. You play me a bit of Alanis Morissette, boom, I'm there. I'm with it, Or we had that dance off recently to like Backstreet Boys and things, and it just comes out of you.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be in touch with that more.
It's important to humans. It's really important. And I'm a big fan of lots of different genres. And when I first moved to London, I was a jobbing actor. I used to work at the Barbican Arts Centre. And their resident orchestra is the LSO, the London Symphony Orchestra. And I used to sit at the back of the concert hall, the Barbican, and this international orchestra there. And I would fall asleep. Not because I didn't love it, because I do really love classical music. I think classical music is spectacular, and I think is an incredible genre of music. But it would just very relax me, so much so that because I'd had a busy life in London. I was running around all over the place. I was working late. It's all very nice, and they're all playing. It's so beautiful, and the lights are dimmed. I'm like, oh my God. And then one time, a customer came up to me. One of the audience members went, "It's all right, you can go to bed now." I was like,
Oh no.
I got spotted because, of course, I'm there for
Security.
Like if there's a fire and I'm freaking asleep on my little stool in the back of the concert hall. Terrible behaviour.
But I do agree that sometimes the sleeps that you get in a theatre or a cinema,
They're the best
the
sleeps.
best sleeps. It's like when you're at the Edinburgh Fringe and you're performing once or twice a day and then you're seeing 3 or 4 shows a day and you're promoting your show and you're just out there networking all day, all night. And then you're like, oh, I'm just going to sit in the back of this show and I'm out.
It's because it's dark and warm and cosy.
I mean, it's the best place.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So moving into music in performance. So we've talked a bit about how it is in our lives, but Kiva, where do you notice the power of music in performance? And this can be either on stage or film or wherever.
I think it goes back to what you were talking about manipulation. For example, we have a scene of the two of us sitting in a bus station waiting for a night bus. And if we play a mysterious kind of dark, deep, somber music, the audience will go, ooh, something bad is going to happen to them, to the world, the bus, to each other or something. One of them, something is going to happen. Whereas we play that exact same scene, the same actors, the same direction, the same takes, But with kind of a sexy, chirpy, chippy kind of music, we will go, oh, they're going to fall in love. They're going to find something. If we play the same thing with any kind of music, we cannot help but feel that. And often we don't even notice that we're being kind of pulled and our hearts have been, kind of dragged that way. You're like, oh, all of a sudden I feel a bit tense and something's worrying. Why is that? And often it's the music. And I think the power of a good musical score, whether it is classical music or if it is a Rihanna song that's dropped into that moment, we're like, okay, we now have a time, we have a place, we have a context. How do they feel about this? And it just changes everything.
And there's another one in there as well, sound design, because it doesn't have to necessarily be a score. They might have added a little like ominous rumble that isn't music per se, but it's the sound design and the soundscape. It's so important for creating that atmosphere. It can work the other way. If the sound is kind of dead, it feels very disconcerting.
Very tense.
Yeah. And so we are very perceptive to different levels of sound and different kind of things around us. I think more than we sometimes give ourselves credit. Yeah, that we don't realise that we're continuously understanding our environment through sound as well as vision.
I taught an improv workshop yesterday and we used music. And a lot of the people in the workshop were quite new to improv. Some of them had never done any before. And I said, okay, we're going to play some music and we're going to try and bring our stories and our improv to this kind of epic level. We used all these kind of classic composers. And we just let the music play for 15 or 20 seconds before something started. And it was spectacular. Everything was elevated, basically. And it's like, okay, tell me what you see. So someone might say, okay, I see a small hut in a forest and it's dark and it's mysterious and the leaves are falling and it's very kind of spooky and there's one light in the hut. And then someone else maybe saw something else and then someone else brought in a twist. And then we carried on the story, but I changed the music. And so if it started off quite tense and mysterious and what's going to happen and this kind of build up, but then we changed the music or we turned off the music, then the scene that played out was so interesting because it already was so raised up and there was so much detail there, and we were all, as the 20 people in the room, incredibly invested in that story.
That's so cool.
Oh, it was amazing. It was magic. And I think it pushed everyone in that room to take the stories to an epic level. So I played kind of a science fiction-y kind of music and someone said, okay, I see stars and spaceships, and then we warp speeded into another place, and then we had 7 people becoming a black hole, and then people being on a sun, being the animals on the sun. And it just like created this really, I think epic is the only word I can use. I think it literally made the scope of the story bigger. Mm-hmm. We didn't just stay in the quotidian of you and me sitting at a bus stop. That bus stop became so important. And by changing the music, everything got more dramatic, more funny, more mysterious, more rich. But I think the main thing about it, one was paying attention to it and putting that focus on the music. And the second one was just waiting. I think when we're learning improv, we're learning any kind of performance, it's like, okay, go. And it's wonderful to be in action, but it's like, what happens if I just let this fill up my cup? And then I start with all of that knowledge. How do I feel? But you need to take that extra moment to go, and I take in that music and I take in that thing, and then I can react and go from that place that's already elevated.
You have to notice how you feel, like how it is affecting your body, your mood, the things you're seeing, because it does paint a picture.
Yeah.
So the classical LSO, big concert symphony orchestra, John Williams classic, that's one way of scoring a film. But there are others, aren't there, Kiva?
So we had the idea of adding a score, like you're talking about LSO, making the Jaws music behind, and it gets added to the scene. Those actors, those people in that universe, they don't know that is being played. It's added on afterwards. Then there's also the idea of diegetic music, which we just looked up this word, but it's the idea where the actors in the world who are inhabiting that world can also hear the music, so it is affecting them. So the actors are at a concert, or they're on the boat of the Titanic and they have the people who are playing the string quartet, so they can hear that music and they can hear those sounds. So if there's a siren that goes, they all hear the siren and they go, okay, war is coming. So it's music and sound effects that are played in the world that they are getting to see. So I can turn off the radio in the scene, or I can turn it on, and then that affects that mood.
So there is that form, and then there is the non-diegetic, which is the music that's put on afterwards. So that's either the score or potentially needle drops, and needle drops are like songs that already exist. They're not specifically composed for the film or TV or whatever.
And I love all that play with sound effects. I think it's amazing. And anytime I leave a movie that really uses that Foley and that sound effect and that music in that way, I leave. And then every time I'll get on the tube and I'll be really aware of all the sounds that everything's making. I'll open a zip and go zip, click, cook, and I'm really present with all of those sound effects. And it kind of goes quite quickly, but I quite like trying to focus in on that. Sometimes I'll do something, I'll make a coffee and I'll think about all the sounds that is making and how that could turn into musicality.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And thinking about sound and all the additional sounds we make, because obviously we can produce sound to ourselves. Like you did it there, a lovely little making of your sounds. And recently, I've been working on some video game voices. And one thing the director said to me when I was working on it was, don't forget your breath. We're so told, when you're doing a lot of commercial or corporate voiceover, you're told, don't breathe. It has to be clean, 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 clean. But, you should just do it then. Because if you don't breathe, you aren't human. You're not a living thing. And, there's this great, I will put this in the show notes as well, Ashley Johnson, who is Ellie in the Last of Us video games. There's a brilliant video where it shows you all the different types of breathing she did, like breathing under attack, breathing running, breathing injured, all the different sort of voice energy she had without saying a single word, because you have to inhabit the character as a whole, and that's part of the whole soundscape. Yeah. Your character can't just stop breathing in a game or stop breathing in a movie. Talking about breathing, there's a bit in Guys and Dolls where Marlon Brando, who is not the best singer in the world, is singing Luck Be a Lady Tonight. Mm-hmm. And they've edited it in a way that he never breathes.
Oh, no.
And it kind of disconcerts you. You're like, this is weird.
But
this
I think if we don't hear the breath, we don't relax.
Yes.
So when I'm teaching clown, I am saying to them all of the time, we need to hear your breath. Because obviously they're doing clown, which is difficult, and you're learning a new skill, which is much more exposing, even more so than improv, because it's very vulnerable and very present. And we as an audience, we're very connected with the clown, with this vulnerability, and we're very empathetic. And if we don't hear you exhale, we literally don't get into your game. And we need to hear that the actor is not suffering, that you can play suffering. You can play the clown who can't open a book. Great. Play that tension and play that foolishness. But if we feel like the actor is not breathing, that you are struggling, then we don't laugh. Whereas if you go, then we laugh and we relax with you. And then we're like, oh, this is fake. This is the game of struggling. We're great. We can totally enjoy you playing the struggle. But if you are struggling and you are not breathing out, we won't laugh with you because we're holding in that tension. We copy you. We can't help that we mirror you.
Yeah.
So in terms of music and improv, there is also a whole other section of improv, which is known as musical improv.
Yes, there is.
Which is extremely exciting and a very new thing for me personally. Because, great, I've done improv, I've done clown, but music for me feels like a very Achilles heel, not my strong point. So when I was told maybe about a year ago, it's let's try and do musical improv where you're doing a scene and you bring that scene to such a heightened point where all that you can do is sing. And then we play with different amazing piano players with us, and they will also bring it up that scene. Then you have to sing and create a song. So you're not only creating the melodies, the harmony, you're also creating the lyrics and the chorus and also the choreography and everything together. And it seems impossible, but it actually is possible. And it is now the most incredible thing.
It is 100% my favourite form of improv. I just love it. And I think it links into all this stuff about how fun music is and how much joy and energy it brings.
And it just goes to another level. You see these scenes are now we're witches and now we're little this and now we're this. It's so great.
Brilliant.
And we've gotten so excited about it here with Big that we have created our own musical improv festival.
Oh, yeah.
The Big Sing. It's going to be a 4-day festival in July, which is all musical improv, all the day, all the time, all the night for 4 days.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And we had these incredible teachers and performers coming from literally all over the world who are coming to perform, to teach, to see, to watch, to sing, to dance. I mean, it is going to be an intense spectacle.
It's a wonderful end to the year because it feels like musical improv feels like that. the sparkly, like, older sister of improv. And it's so fun to watch. It's my favourite to watch as well.
Yeah, it's so joyous.
And it feels a little bit like magic. For anyone who's concerned and wants to do it, you get taught how to do it, how to do the magic. But it does, when you're watching it, it just feels spectacular.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. And because it's tapping into all this stuff we talked about, not only are you doing active, as in you're singing, you're creating, you're allowing yourself to express your emotions through the voice in that way, you are also, when you're watching it, being receptive. Like, you're feeling all this music come at you and these people sing to you and the pianist play and it's just, it adds that extra level, that extra layer, as well as all the, like, no one knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, in the extreme. And it doesn't matter if you're not an amazing singer. It's not about that. It's all about the fake it till you make it, play this amazing, huge character and just enjoy this journey that the music is bringing you on.
Yeah, no one cares if you can sing or not. It's more the joy of it and seeing the different characters, seeing people's different energies. And it's just a brilliant thing to watch and to be involved with. So come watch if you don't want to get up on stage just yet and doing it, which I completely understand because it can feel very intimidating. Come and watch it because it is joyous.
It is going to be great.
It's going to be fabulous. So Kiva, do we have a game or something that we can play and have a go at to maybe engage our creativity a bit more through music?
So I have two different ideas. One, I'm going to play a piece of music and I just want you to tell me what you see, where this place could be. Where would this scene be set?
I'm going to close my eyes.
Okay.
Okay. So immediately, as soon as that music started, I saw like a wide horizon and like a sunrise on like one of those big sky places, like an American prairie, and then someone coming out onto a little veranda and just looking out, breathing in the sunrise and looking out towards the horizon.
Beautiful. And what happens if I play you this?
For this one, I immediately went sci-fi. Full sci-fi from the first moment. A beautiful battleship coming along. But it's the good guys. This is the good guys' battleship. Cruising through the dark, beautiful sky.
Okay, I'm going to do one more that's totally different. Where is this story taking place?
Well, obviously this is like downtown New York, and we've got the angle of like it's one person strutting down the street, and there's like those, you know, there's like girded high street walks above it, and we've got like quite a tight angle on this person. They're having a lovely time. They're walking through their neighbourhood, and they're like, "Hey, all right, let's go," and they're having quite a good day. Sun is shining, on their way somewhere they want to go, having a little boogie. All's good.
Okay, amazing. Right, so just by starting with music, we had 3 like epic stories just there. Right, you were already talking about the visualization, you're adding characters, you're adding mood and emotion and thought, and like, okay, who are we following? We're following one person. Fantastic. We have a solo scene. Wonderful. Or maybe we're following a whole battleship and we have all of this kind of world of what we could zoom in and zoom out of, right? What the next scene or the previous scene could have been.
It's very interesting though, because as soon as you hear it, your brain is flooded with images of I think of lots of things, movies we've seen, TV series we've seen, our own personal feeling towards that music, like where it sits within our own context, all that kind of stuff. I mean, everybody's going to hear something slightly different. Everyone will see something different.
For sure.
Because our context will inform that. But it creates images immediately.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful, such a powerful medium, I think, music.
And I think if we allowed ourselves, you can do this as an exercise at home of just play a piece of music like that, 10, 20, 30 seconds. And between, whoever you have with, and go, what did you see? What movie or scene or picture or feeling or fabric, or what did you see? It's so interesting to see how different people heard that music and what they created. And they're all as valid as each other.
Oh, of course. Because it's what inspires you to see.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah,
it's a really fun way to be creative as well, and very easy one. I mean, you could do that. I mean, don't do it while you're driving, but anywhere you can just you can do it while you're driving, just don't close your eyes, I guess. I closed my eyes because I found it easier to kind of
visualize.
Just listen, just be with the sound rather than, have any visual stimulus. But that's a lovely little technique and again, a bit of divergent thinking, creative thinking.
Yeah.
Suddenly you've got 3 different scenarios there. A lot of film directors will do playlists. They'll say, this is my character's playlist, this is the movie's playlist, before anything is put down in stone. And they'll do like a rough cut with a temp score. So they'll use like bits of Williams and stuff to create this temp score, just to score it before it's all scored properly. So it's very, very interesting how important it becomes to not only the finished product, but whilst you're currently making it, how much it can inform someone. If your character listens to a particular type of music, it can really get you into the vibe of that character.
Yeah,
very quickly.
Writers do it too when they're writing a book and they play. It's like, okay, what is the soundtrack? I've heard about writers going, I just listened to this one song on repeat whilst I wrote this book.
Whoa,
that is intense. But yeah.
That was really fun.
Nice.
Enjoyed that.
Nice. The other thing I was thinking that we could do would be like a do-run-run, like a musical game. Do you know that game?
Oh, go on then. I've never played this, but go on.
So it goes with a little song, which is a do-run-run-run, a do-run-run.
Rhymes with do? Or just
it rhymes with whatever that first word is.
Fine.
Whatever that the way the last line ends.
Okay.
So, for example, it's normally about meeting a person. So we start with the song. A do-run-run-run, a do-run-run. I went to a party and I met a Bob. A do-run-run-run, a do-run-run.
And whilst we were there, he offered me a job.
A do-run-run-run, a do-run-run. Do-do-do-do, yeah. And he handed me a key fob. Do-do-do-do, yeah.
And I thought, oh my God.
Do-do-do-do, yeah. And he is a S.O.B. A do-run-run-run, a do-run-run. SOB being short for son of a bitch. And then I heard
a sob.
A sob. I was like, that doesn't work.
That's it for this week on Let's See It, talking about music. I've been Rebecca Tanwin and she's been Kiva Murphy. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do share any of your thoughts or your favourite soundtracks on our Instagram at Let's See It Pod. And we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Farts.
Oh, that was good.
Let's do that one. Didn't work at all. Right.
Oh, pathetically bad.
Why is it so bad?
Oh, that was a wet one. What is this? But this is so bad.